Hi guys, here you can see some just normal play sand without bentonite clay, bentonite powder. You can see the sand when you squeeze it, it doesn't really keep its shape, it breaks easily. Here is the bentonite clay that I'm using, very small amount as you can see, um, just to show you how fine powder this one is. This one is basically like flour. Very fine powder as you can see. So yeah, I shot the scene actually for guys that's maybe new to the making of greensand, and it's very easy. Just make sure you get correct play sand. The play sand that I bought from one of the shops, on the bag it said that sand is washed, but still you need to run the sand through a sieve 4 or 5 times easily to get the sand very fine. The finer the sand, the better your detail is going to be on your cast. And there's lots of sometimes some small stones mixed into the sand as well, so by sifting it you just get rid of all the dirt basically. Yeah, the place on is actually, if you haven't seen it or maybe played in it before, it's basically sea sand that you get that the kids usually make sand castles with, etc. Now, of course, the bentonite clay or bentonite powder, as you want to call it, helps the sand stick together so that you can basically make a mold. I don't have a scale at the moment to weigh everything, so I don't have the exact recipe that I use. I just add a little bit of water, mix the sand, add a little bit of bentonite, mix again. As I mix, I squeeze the sand in my hands, and then to see if it sticks together. When it sticks together nicely, I break it, and then you must have kind of a clean break. Then your sand is usually ready to make the mold with for your casting. The bentonite clay, bentonite powder, I think there's a misunderstanding if you're shopping around for it, and if you're saying using the word clay, people think of clay like Play-Doh, clay that kids play with. But yeah, the bentonite is used for beauty products, and I think they use it for skincare, if I'm not mistaken. And then it also has its industrial uses as well. It's one of those cool things in life that has more than one use. My brother-in-law also got a few bags of bentonite. He was working on, I think, on a power plant, and they used bentonite for some purpose. With, I'm not sure if it's like a anti-pollution project or something they have there as well. But I had lots of sand, bentonite, sorry, just lying around, not even being used. So he could get a few bags there. He's also gonna playing around with the metal cast. He's more focusing on the jewelry design than metal casting. One of his projects, he wants to make a stamp, and he told me the other day that after doing some research, um, he came to the conclusion that for what he wants to make, the easiest way is going to be using the metal casting method. So, yeah, that's why I got the bentonite powder, and he said they will send me some. So, yeah, here is a stencil of the alphabet that I'm gonna play around with, trying to make the alphabet letters. And then here is uh, AC motor mounting brackets from a paper shredder machine. I tried to melt it the other day, ran out of gas, and I suspect it being zinc, but not just zinc, maybe zinc alloy. And I apologize for my camera work, things didn't go really well. The piece of block that I just put down, I'll tell you in a bit. Here is the sand that I started ramming. Now, if you're new to this, don't repeat his mistakes. You can see the sand is breaking. If you look at the right hand section, I used the hammer to ram the sand, but your sand is going to break apart because I don't have a frame here that supports it. Okay, here I cleaned up the sand. I just put it back in a bucket, a change of plants, just cleaning up some of the sand. Okay, here my idea is to use the bucket as a frame, but you'll see now it's a bad idea. So I'm using a rubber hammer, mallet, some cool. Now, I don't know if you'll be able to see, but in the center where you ram the sand sticks very nicely. On the sides, you'll see the sand doesn't really stick, it keeps coming loose. Reason for that is using a plastic container is a big no-no as the plastic is flexible. So I'm just trying, but it's not working because the flexibility of the plastic. So the best thing to use is, you'll see some of the guys use wooden frames, some use aluminium or steel frames. So you want to get a frame and ram your sand into the frame. The frames basically just keep your sand intact. If you don't have a frame, you're ramming the sand, your sand is gonna break apart because you don't have frames on the sides that keep everything together. Here I'm bothering a bit. If you see me pausing with my hands, that is just I looked up to the camera to see if it was still recording. Here I tried thinking of another method, maybe using a different method of how I'm gonna get a sand off the stencil, etc. But I disregarded that idea so immediately. Okay, we can try this method. So if you're new, like I said, no need to repeat my mistakes here. This is definitely gonna show you. This is all what not to do. I can actually call this a not to do video. The only thing that's right is the consistency of the green sand that I made, the mixture is nice for the molds. But everything I'm doing further on is it's gonna give you 100% successful failure. But if you watch this and you're gonna repeat this, you're also gonna get the same failing result. Okay, just cleaning the sand off, putting it aside. Try not to really waste the sand. I have still a huge bag, but yeah, only this amount that's already mixed with the bentonite clay, bentonite powder. It is cheaper than petrol sand. I am from South Africa, as you probably might recognize from my accent, and my English is not very good. I did check online for one of our suppliers in Cape Town on petrol sand, and it's quite expensive, to be honest. In the future, I might for smaller projects than this, but well, I see the guys, some of the fellow casters on YouTube, they do good with the greens and they get good results. You must just make sure you have the frames is proper. If it's wooden frames that are not wobbly, and then create your gates and your runners, your sprues, offset boring basins. Then usually those castings are basically flawless. Okay, now just get rid of a little bit of excess sand here. Now I want to get the stencil of the sand. So I'm thinking of using the metal sheet to put onto the sand, turn everything around, and then remove the stencil. I was busy making a wooden frame starting about a week ago, and I realized the wood actually got wet. And no wonder I got it from the guy's recycle bin. So yeah, the thing is the wood isn't straight. Well, if wood gets wet, then it's a problem. So I might use the wood for something else that doesn't need to be level and need to be straight really. So I can't use it for the frame for the carbon and drag. It's too wobbly. These pieces that I've shown here is my previous zinc casting exercises. This is my small gas stove, butane gas only, if you were wondering. Of course, old frying pan that I use. And there's my anti-lap that I casted about a month ago. Now, in the beginning of the video, the small rectangular block that I have put down and suddenly the scene cut, that was actually a piece of aluminum. I wanted to show you the difference between the anti-lap and aluminum block, the difference in the color of the metal. the aluminum block that you saw for that few seconds at the beginning, I got from a friend. He made it from his forge in his backyard. That was about 3 years ago. And that piece of aluminum was just lying in the garage. The antelope that you see, and you can still see in the bottom left corner, close to the flame, the antelope has a kind of a darkened in color. Looks almost dirty, the grey. And the antelope was casted, like I said, a month ago, with the aluminum piece that I told you of was casted 3 years ago. So one of the differences that I can see is that the zinc, the oxidation, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, that's taking place. That's why the zinc starts to get this dark grey color, and the aluminum doesn't. So I think that's one way of telling them apart. And then otherwise the zinc melts very quick, just like lead, and aluminum has a very high melting point. Here it almost looks like an egg that I've baked in zinc, as you can see. Looks like an egg with the egg yolk in the middle. That was actually the zinc muffin in the middle that didn't melt it because of the thickness. It's a bit of problems with the bloody camera on the tripod. Trying to remain in the shot, in the frame. Here I've already poured the zinc. And just getting my pliers to turn it around and get a sand off. See what it looks like. And it's surprisingly how hard the sand gets by the ramming process, and probably by the heat from the metal as well. You can see there is some moisture in the sand if you look to the left of the screen, and then the burnt section, I believe that's probably due to the bentonite that's in the sand. But I must say, even the burnt part, I use that as well in the next casting. I just sift everything again a couple of times. And here is the finished cast. It came out a few layers, not perfect. Even though if I had wooden frames or metal frames and the cast came out perfect, I would not be able to do what I actually wanted to do. I actually wanted to, my plan was to cast this stencil in zinc, to make a sand mold from that, and then make letters from lead for a small future project. But I have plan B and C already. One is probably 3D printing and one is wooden letters. Thanks for watching, guys.